The reason I've always liked cats is because I feel like they're a little bit like me. Just self-sufficient, you know, if you get time with me, great. I'm quite happy spending time by myself. Don't like be all over me. I can look after myself. You can leave me alone for days and I'll be fine. That's why I've liked cats, is because there's a level of affection and care from them, but they're also like, you could leave them for a couple of days and they're fine. You don't need to take them out for a walk. You don't need to look after them or anything like that. Yet they'll still, to a degree, love you, and they have like a very cantankerous personality. Sometimes it's just
that part sounds like you
on their own terms.
I think that I like to think that I'm a cat person.
Yeah, okay.
But I've only ever honestly met a couple of cats that I like.
Yeah, okay.
My life at the moment more so resembles a lost dog.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, having said that, when I first got, and the other thing is I'm busy, so the thought of trying to like take something for a walk or whatever just created stress in my head. When I first got Biggles, who was a rag doll though, he would just follow me around everywhere and I'd go, Biggles, just leave me alone. This is why I don't have a boyfriend. Yeah. Like, you don't need to know where I am all the time. Yeah. Like, I'm in the house somewhere. Okay. Like, it's fine. Like, just don't. And Winnie, as lovely as she is exactly like that. She just wants to be like near and close and want to know everything that you're up to. And I'm just like, just take a chill. I just need to gather myself. I don't need to be.
So Winnie being a dog.
Yeah, Winnie's a dog.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because they're always up in your shit.
Yeah.
But Biggles sounds like almost at times a little doggish.
He was.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He was like a dog. And he was very, very smart. I think we talked about him before, like trying to trick you into thinking that you'd stood on him or something like that, and then acting out and going, ah! And you're like, oh, I'm so sorry. He's a very smart little thing. Now, Blue has like this purr that is the loudest thing when she comes up near you and she's cuddling you.
Yeah.
And it sounds like just the feeling that you would hope that you could get from anyone around you. Like that is just an amazing thing when she's just purring and vibrating and just clearly just loves being near you. And she does this beautiful, her and Winnie just love each other, and Blue will be beautiful and she'll go and lick Winnie and look after her, and then I watch that and just go, oh, it's just so nice that these two are friends and they entertain each other.
Yeah.
And then next minute it's like 2:00 in the morning and I've got a set of child terrorists that are trying to wreck my place and play parkour and just run around, and Blue will just run and jump on everything, and then I'll be trying to, I imagine what this would be like if you had kids and you just like go, just let me sleep, like please just let me sleep, just go to bed, it's bedtime, like just go to bed, it's bedtime. And then
if I close my eyes harder, they'll go away.
It's just like you ignore them for a bit thinking that it might stop, but they just don't stop. And then next minute Blue's like tore across the top of the bed and using it as a launching pad to like jump over the top of Winnie, and I can feel all this happening. And there was one time I just happened to move my hand at the right time because she would have just like run across and like slashed, ended up with a cut. But it's not, it's just playful, but it's the wrong time of the day.
Yeah.
Do that while I'm not there, not at night when I'm trying to sleep and be rested.
You're talking about being asleep around cats. I learnt an interesting cat fact the other day. I'm not sure if it's true or not. It's one of those things you see on the internet and you're like, I don't know about that. But apparently cats, because they quite often when you're in the deepest phase of sleep, will lay on you and wake you up. It's because they're prey animals. Their sleep, even though they sleep for a long time, part of why they do that is because it's not a very deep, rejuvenating sleep. They're almost semi-awake a lot of the time.
Yeah, okay.
So when your heart rate and breathing goes into its most shallow, the cat for a moment freaks out and thinks that you're dead, and then they'll wake you up.
Yeah.
And I've always wondered why that was, because I had no other visits from when I was living in Melbourne with my brother's cat, except for about 6 in the morning. The cat would be laying right on my face.
Yeah.
Trying to wake me up.
Yeah, actually, that's my sleeping in clock doesn't exist anymore because she will come and just come right to my face and start at about 6 o'clock every morning.
But people throw cats under the bus like they don't have any love for their owners and no closeness. Like, if they truly didn't care, they'd just let you keep sleeping.
Is exactly right. No, it's such a lovely feeling to have something that is just genuinely just cares about you. And I can tell it from, I'm just so happy that I have them both now and I didn't let someone talk me out of getting.
Well, I thought you were going to talk yourself out of the cat because you were like, I've got this pet already. Do I need another one? Can I have that commitment?
Yeah. That was exactly the thing, and that was everyone saying. But there was also a thing in the back of my head going, I've already got this pet that's young, Winnie, and she's going to be around for like 10 years least. Get them both at the same time so they can just chill out together.
Yeah.
Blue chose me. She did. Like, I hadn't gone to actually get a cat. I was still continuing to look and swirl around, is it a good life choice? Like, now wherever I go, I'm going to have to find somewhere that has room for a cat also. Yeah. And just a little background, guys. It's, Josh's neighbour has changed from the coffer to the running commentary of his life person.
Via a bad vocal technique.
Yeah, bad vocal.
He's singing his life out loud on the balcony.
Yeah, exactly what's happening. But yeah, just went to look again, and she was the only one sort of there, and she just sort of popped out and started purring on my lap. And then I was still going to go away and think about it, and the lady just sort of went, okay, so we'll get the paperwork out. And I was like, yep, okay. And then it just happened, and then when he loved her, and then...
So just knowing you and that you're not the most woo-woo person that I've met, did that almost make you recoil to start with, that this cat is making an active effort to choose me?
No.
You were down with it?
No, I love animals.
Yeah.
I love animals so much.
Because I can't imagine you acting the same way with a guy.
Absolutely not. The more attention they give me, the more I recoil and go,
yeah, that's why I was thinking.
I don't feel like I can reciprocate the level of... I get really bothered if someone feels like they're very invested in me.
Yeah.
I always go, why? Like, I get suspicious. And then they'll still have an idea, and I'm like, yeah, but you don't, like... You think you know me, or you've got an idea of me, but you don't know me. And if they're like and the worst thing is, the nicer they are, the more I feel like I need to protect them, like, from things. And if they're very like nice, and I just think, I don't know if I'm at the level of reciprocating feelings as you, so I'm just going to like back the F out so that you don't get hurt.
So it's hurt them a little bit early so you don't hurt them a lot later.
Yeah,
is that what you can...
There's so many levels of... It'll sound weird when I say it, but I run on this level of trying to protect everyone from everything always, and it's always about trying to protect people, including myself, but probably, more so going... The overthinking side of everything goes, no, is this going to work? Is this going to work? Is this going to work? And maybe just go, I feel like they're more invested in this than what I have the capacity to be, rather than just trying.
Yeah, that's good. So we do have a few topics today, guys, and we just went on a tangent. I think we can take away from that men aren't cats. And if you're wondering if Mel's developed a split vocal technique, she hasn't. She's just got a small puppy about an inch away from the mic as well. That's how you get. Yeah, we've got myself, Mel, the neighbour, and Winnie all on the mic today.
Yeah.
So
and Blue's just running around.
Yep.
Just hiding from life at the moment.
So let's just dive in. You sent me a message the other day about a smart gut.
If you like us, like I like us, get onto punchingsideways.com, give us a bit of a likesy, have a bit of an exploration around, and maybe buy us a coffee.
You sent me a message the other day about a smart gut.
Yeah. Do you know, like, have you ever thought, I'm going to just trust my gut with this and just roll with it?
Yes.
Like, when's the best call that you've made with a smart gut decision?
I'll tell you the opposite of it, because what I know is that I can't pinpoint moments of my life where I've trusted my gut as much as I can when I haven't and things went poorly.
Yeah.
When I had an original feeling.
Okay.
There's two particular relationships.
Yeah.
That there was a period of my life where I liked adversarial women.
Yeah.
And
explain what you mean by adversarial.
Well, if they somehow, because of my first formative relationships, I got used to the fact that there was an element of maybe not fighting all the time, but some elevated tension was good for the relationship because things come out and then there's the makeup period. So I got used to that always being there.
Yeah.
But then I started to almost not obsess over, but be actively looking for people that seemed like they had just a bit of anger in them.
Yeah.
And my gut was always telling me, nah, maybe not a good idea. But I just got, and there was two in particular where I can remember months and months later thinking, this person is cranky and angry. That's not always a good thing.
No.
And I went against the gut.
I'll share something that I've learned about that. Apparently, when you feel a butterfly feeling around a person, it's actually a trauma response. And it's something that you should theoretically not lean into because you're reacting on a pattern or how that feeling that you get feels exciting, but exciting isn't necessarily the space that you want to run a relationship in.
Yes, that describes exactly what was happening to me. I was getting what I would say was butterflies around these two, thinking that they've got to be the one.
How weird's that?
That is weird, and it feels very true.
And I'll do a bit more research. Of course, obviously, I research psychological things around myself and everything, but it's the feeling of going, oh, that's exciting. Yeah, like this is the feeling that you're supposed to, because you hear about it in movies. Oh, I just, felt. And it's actually, there's a lot of psychological research and that involved in that is something that you probably should not lean into.
Wow.
And if you feel comfortable around someone, which is usually when we go, oh, that's boring, is what you should be more leaning into immediately.
Yeah, wow. Because that also highlights another third relationship where there was high levels of comfort and I had the opposite of butterflies and I was mistaking that comfort for, are we borderline getting bored here?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that puts most of my 2000s into perspective in the space of 5 minutes there, because there were some bad decisions in there, some hostile ones and a few nice ones that slipped through the cracks.
It's super interesting. It's like the whole fight or flight response thing that happens with people and the exciting. And like, I know if I'm doing events, like I definitely get the anxiety nerves thing, and you can feel that as a good thing because I can channel that. But you don't want to be like feeling edgy around a person that you are trying to build something with, I think. Yeah. And I think that's a hard space to navigate because, like I said, that feeling is exciting if you meet someone and they sort of like maybe push you a little bit and you feel like, oh, okay, righto.
Yeah.
I need to back up to this, but you really,
So the smart gut thing that you sent me wasn't 100%. We've just gone off on another relationship tangent.
No, that was just, I wanted to know your interpretation. So the smart gut thing can be different in the fact that you actually like trust your intuition with something and go, yeah, this feels right. Cool, I'm going to run with it, not question it. And it came about how I got the Gardenesque gig pretty much. I was talking to the chick who organised it just at a barbecue, and she was telling me about what she was up to. Had no idea about Gardenesque or anything like that, and just organically this conversation went into, I'm running an event. She just goes, oh, do you know anything about gardens? And I was like, nah. I mean, I grew up on a farm, so like I'm not adverse to getting dirty and doing stuff.
I know my grasses.
Well, I don't even know my grasses. Don't know my grasses, but I was very confident in the fact that I love to learn new things as well. And I just was like, oh, not like heaps, but I can learn that, like whatever. And she goes, oh, because I've got this event that I'm just putting together. It's called Gardenesque, and we're looking for an MC. And I was like, oh, yeah, cool. Yeah, just send me some details. And she sent me, like the next day, she sent me a message and just basically locked me in for 2 dates. And so that was good. That was for October. And I knew that there was a little bit of a personal connection in the fact that her partner worked with my dad previously. And so there was probably a trust level through that. And given the fact that it's my dad's relationship as well, I was never going to say yes to something that I didn't think that I could run with. Fast forward to Gardenesque getting cancelled because of weather and then re-put on at the end of January. She sort of messaged me again and I was like, oh, yeah, cool, I need this, this and this. Went to meet her and as I was sort of going there was a deep reflection on the fact that we've talked about how I'm a bit of an enigma currently on social media. And I was like, she has never seen anything that I've done ever. She's just gone off the fact that I've talked like I know a few things and just gone, yep, let's just get Mel. And as I've...
Sorry. And just for those people at home or in the car that are wondering, when Mel says, never seen me do a thing, if you're wondering what she means, hosting a live event.
Yeah.
Because this Gardenesque thing was not a small endeavour. So
no.
Just for people that were wondering, what does she mean by a thing?
But we know that I have a tendency to accidentally talk myself into things.
Yes.
Into an opportunity that I didn't even know I was doing at the time. And then it comes about and I'm like, okay, we're running with this and we'll just make it happen. But as I got there, I sort of said to her, oh, look, I know you've just trusted the fact that you think that I'm a good person and I'm going to do a good job. And she goes, yeah, I was actually like talking. And she goes, I was talking to Sian, which was her partner. I was talking to Sian last night and I just said, geez, Mel better be bloody good. There's a lot riding on this. And I was like, yeah, I appreciate that. She goes, you just felt like you're a good person and I could trust you. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to attempt to let you down. And what happened was, by saying yes to an opportunity like that, I had so many people go to me previous, why are you doing a gardening thing? You don't even like gardening. I was like, yeah, but like how many cool people, like different people am I going to get to meet? And it was one of the most amazing things that I've had the privilege of being part of. It was very, very well put together. It was super cool. And I never would have thought this was a big dick energy move, but I got to work with Costa, who was like, you know, the way that I run and just everyone gets treated the same. And that was how I was treating him. But watching the way that he interacted with all these people who clearly thought that he was a god, and I think I mentioned like he's like the Beatles of gardening.
Yeah. Which is a great tagline that he should use.
Yeah. It led to him to saying a story actually about someone asking if he was a rock star at a restaurant because he was getting mobbed by all these people.
And he has the big hair and the beard.
Yeah. But he was just so generous with his time and talking to people, and even that, like that's a thing that everyone in entertainment should be aware of, that, you know, it becomes not about you pretty much. But when he was actually speaking on stage, there was so much emotion and genuine, authentic energy behind what he was saying that, like, at times he was starting to tear up.
Wow. And
I watched this happen and go, wow, like this is a real deal person who actually cares about, this isn't a I'm famous, look at me. And he was doing it in a way that, he wasn't really talking about himself. He was reflecting on different causes and stuff and using what he could do to facilitate that, which I really, really, really liked. And yeah, I met like a guy that runs bird watching things and just all these people that I never would have crossed paths with. And it's just saying yes to things that can seem scary, but she trusted her gut. And her gut was right to trust, because I feel like I did a very good job. And it's opened way more opportunities by saying yes to sometimes things that other people would say no to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Smart gut.
I trusted my gut once last year.
Yeah.
And a much smaller scale thing than Gardenesque. I kind of forgot that the year before I had asked if I could do a comedy set at the Corryong Show. And I was talking to one of the heads, Evan Nicholas, his name is. He's a well-known footballer from up there as well.
Yeah.
Champion guy. He kind of saw me randomly, I think, outside the chiropractor here, and he's like, oh, do you still want to come? Because I think I didn't end up doing it, or it got moved or something. I can't remember the story, but he's like, oh, do you still want to do that? This is 6 months later.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I did ask about that 6 months ago. I better say yes.
Yeah.
So we rearranged for me to go up and do it. And I mentioned to a couple of people that I was doing it, and they're like, why would you do that? And these are other people in comedy as well, because it had hell gig.
Yeah.
And that's doesn't have to be mean towards the show, just comedy's so fragile that anything can make it not work as well.
Yeah.
So being outside, mostly kids, not knowing if the mic or the stage, I was possibly going to be on the back of a truck.
Yeah.
Like all this stuff was not working in my favour.
Yeah.
And because I'm a complete amateur too. It's not like I'm Limo that we saw a couple of weeks ago in Gerodgery, where he could walk probably into this room now and do a great set off the cuff.
He was very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it had hell gig written all over it. But there was a part of my gut that just knew that even if it's the worst thing I've ever done, I reckon I'm going to get something out of it.
Yes.
And a week later, I did a couple of shows in Wagga and Tumut, I think it was. No, Wagga, Gerodgery, Tumut in over 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And they were by far the best gigs that I've done.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it was because I learned in the space of 10 minutes multiple lessons. And one thing that's going to sound weird, and Mel would know this, and anyone who's seen me do comedy, I usually leave the mic in the stand.
Yeah.
And not when we're doing trivia. I take it out. I don't have one. But for that, just because I find that if I get nervous, the first place it shows is my handshakes.
Yeah, okay.
So it's easier to have it in there. Then I don't have to try and put it back in if I'm getting nervous. They said, oh, we've got a mic stand. I didn't tell you. I was on the back of a truck. But then last minute they changed it and wanted me to go and do it on the floor in the grass next to the rodeo ring. And they're like, oh, there's a PA over there. There's speakers. I'm like, okay, that wasn't really the plan. Yeah. But yeah, they're like, everyone's already gone over there. You're going to be performing to no one. There's 100 people over there. So I got over there and there's like 30 little kids in front of me. And when I say little kids, I mean like 5 and 6 year olds. Yeah. And then adults that were 80 metres off to my left, up the top of the amphitheatre, but almost over the back near the bar. That was the only people that were there. Yeah. The actual speaker was a JBL party speaker with flashing lights. They had no mic stand. The mic they brought over there didn't fit in the stand. Yeah. So I was about to do, and the grass was wet and it was about a foot high. Yeah. So I got no intro. Yeah. The sun was up and in everyone's eyes. Yeah. Like I could have been looking at the sun, but everyone was looking at the sun. So they were squinting. Yeah. Every time I sped up for a punchline, the actual speaker would flash in people's faces off to the side. So in my peripheral, there's just people getting lit up with this red light.
It's coming. It's coming.
If I moved 1 centimetre off from perfect line of sight to the speaker, the mic would cut out. Yeah. And I went from not really having any kids around me to having most of them sitting 3 feet away from me. Yeah. And I also found out that day that some things that you think are family friendly still are very scary for kids, because I was telling a story about how my dad was such a hardcore electrician that he got bitten by not 1 but 2 redback spiders before he left the job. And like the kids, I got a few laughs out of the kids. I think they were just liking that someone was doing something they didn't really understand. Yeah. And there was like a hush. Yeah. And I'd like, oh no, I've lost them. And then the mum's looking at me like, hey, dickhead, that's nightmare material for these kids, you idiot. And then all of a sudden there was this little kid, a moment of levity, and it's going to be horrible, but I was talking about Dad. He only just made it to the hospital, and this little kid goes, did he die? I was like, no, mate, he didn't. It was great. And then everyone just cracked up, and it was just such a moment of levity. So the next week, I went into Wagga, which is the greatest room probably in the country at the moment. Everyone who goes there, like, oh, you could say anything in there and probably get a little laugh.
You look sideways.
Yeah, it's just this magic.
That's a funny look.
It's just this magic room they've created up there. I had the easiest show I've ever had. Not only because I went well, but I'm like, I'm never going to do another gig quite as weird, well, at least in the immediate future, as the one I just did.
Yeah,
and that was trusting my gut, because the more I thought about it, the more I wanted to pull out.
Yes.
But that initial moment was, Josh, this is going to be either a great story or you're going to learn something, or both.
Opportunity, though.
And I reconnected with one of my mates from high school.
Yeah.
But that's my smart gut story. Because normally I'm a pull-out guy. I'd pull out before I committed.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't agree to do it because I can talk myself into, that'll be bad and this will go wrong.
That's me with relationships, not with events. I probably should think a bit more about saying yes to events. But I also sort of run on the guise of, like, there is no way I would have opted to go to Gardenesque unless I had a working role there.
Yep.
And I'm so glad that I did, because I met, like, an amazing group of people and saw and witnessed lots of cool things that if I had have actually had the option, would have just gone, don't know, gardening's not my jam. I don't really like. And now I'm like, do I like gardening?
Yeah.
Still probably not. But
yeah,
it was really, say yes to things that can put you in situations that if you're in entertainment like you were.
Yes.
Every time you get an opportunity to be in front of a new bunch of people is an opportunity to impress one person.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is just one person.
Or build a bond with a 10-year-old kid who's got some good material.
Kids are great.
Yeah, they were great. They were liking it more than the adults.
They're hard, but they're so, like, organically real.
Yeah.
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 And when you get a compliment from a kid, it's like a genuinely, like, heart fluttery in a good way.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like, oh, that's nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job.
Absolutely.
Good job, kids.
So we'll finish up with this, and I'm not sure. We need to watch a quick video here.
Okay.
So I'll link to the video if I can for the people listening. So one of our listeners, Carl, that's one of our long-term listeners, he donated 10 coffees recently on buymeacoffee.com.
Thanks, Carl.
Which you can find on punchingsideways.com if you want to donate a coffee, if you're enjoying it. He basically said, here's 10 coffees, but I want this question answered.
Okay.
So...
Oh, this is an organic off the cuff. Right,
yeah.
cool.
So he wants us to watch this video of a wrestler named Logan Paul, who's like a celebrity internet person, and wants to know our thoughts on it.
Can I just, one before we press play, have we already got the money for the coffees?
It's already in.
So we theoretically don't need to do this.
We'll see how it goes.
You can't take it back out, can you? Go fraud. Lots of bodies on the ground. Shouting. Oh.
Okay.
They've just done a springboard off the ropes, and they've basically belly whacked into each other when you're celebrating, but they've knocked each other out.
So I haven't watched wrestling for about 20 years, but I used to watch it a lot in the end of the 90s. That I've never seen before. So I don't know what you want us to say, Carl, besides the fact that was very impressive and looked very painful.
Do you know what I will say on the back of that is you might remember someone that we interviewed called Luke Burney, who happens to be a wrestler of a professional nature. And, Carl, what I implore you to do is actually look up some of his videos, because if you think that seemed impressive, what he's doing is next level.
Yeah,
like
it's insane, really.
Ex-Olympic gymnast level. And when I've seen some of the stuff that he's doing off the ropes, I'm like, that's ridiculous.
Yep.
Ridiculous. And the fact that if there's two things that come into play, guys. If you get a chance to see him, what's his current wrestling name? Can you remember?
It's the Hope from the Top Rope.
Yes, the Hope from the Top Rope. And there's just so much hope up there because you look at how high he jumps. It's ridiculous. He's got like God level glow going on. But if you see him perform comedy like for reals as well, you just would not realize that those two can interconnect because he seems the most laissez-faire type. And to then see what he can execute physically it's one of those cool like head Fs.
Yeah, the juxtaposition's crazy. He's a dry one-liner comedian, dry, and dark. And he does his other life is this super exciting, super athletic entertainment thing where it's just on 10 on the athleticism and entertainment value.
Yeah, I will say this though. I feel like being able to make people laugh is super exciting. So I'm not going to say that either are more exciting than the other.
I'm sure,
Visually, though, the theatrics of the second thing is quite an impressive feat. But I think both ways, if you ever get the opportunity to watch both, require a lot of dedication and skill and practice to get to that point. So
I don't know how he finds time for one, let alone both.
No.
Good on you, Luke.
He's one of those annoying people that just happens to be talented and works on it.
No, super annoying. So thank you to Carl for that. We've never actually had someone prompt us with coffees, but that's a good way to get a question answered on the show.
It is, Carl. And there was this weird page that was following and commenting on my stuff for a while called Bris Vegas.
Yep.
And I kept thinking, which band or how have I got part of this group in Bris Vegas that I've been working with bands and stuff up there? And this happened for probably the good part of a year.
Yeah.
Before I realised that it was Carl.
Yeah.
And Carl, so I finally accepted your friend request because I was like, where are they? I thought it was one of those random ones that sees you say like something and then follow you.
Yeah, they're following a hashtag or something.
Then just currently, she's like, how's this fitting in? What muso is this? And why are they to do with punching sideways? And then I can't remember what it was that tweaked it. I was like, it's Carl.
Yeah.
Who I still don't know is an actual real person because I'm yet to have met him in the flesh. But
Oh, well, the coffees are real, so.
The coffees are real, but they still could be coming from you. I don't know. It could be one of your extra pages.
Yeah, I'm just sending money to ourselves. That makes sense. Hey. Righto. Bye-bye.
Laters.